Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Is that you, Karen?
Yes, it is.
Hey, good to have you. Good to have
And
you.
you can actually hear me?
I do. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I can see you. I see a nice picture of you on the mountain bike.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That yes.
So yeah, but that's okay. I mean, it will be a real webinar. I will do a real presentation, so you don't need to kind of have your camera on. You can just listen. Are you going to make it for the full time, or do you have to leave?
Well, at 1:30 my time, I'm going back to my office.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I will just put it, I'm still gonna listen.
Yes. Yeah, I will not be finished. I think it will be around 30 minutes, but we are not going to start right away. So probably, yeah, you will miss maybe the last part. And of course,
Okay.
we will do Q&A. And of course, Karen, if I mean I'm going quite deep on all kind of also things related to fasting and hormonal things. And so if you have questions, then please on the next call that we have, we can talk about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, yeah, it's there are many aspects to it. Hello, Marcella, by the way. Hello, good to see you again. Uh, Marcella and I just had a coaching call. Uh, Hello, Dave.
Hey, Baz.
Hi, how are you doing with the dog bite? I was
It's
terrifying.
okay.
All right, good.
So I decided to take the day off and not exercise or do anything just to see how it goes. And then tomorrow is generally my full rest day, but I might do a little bit of cycling to see how that goes and not put a lot of stress on it. But since I'm just a few weeks out from Boston, I don't want to go without doing anything, but I don't want to
Sure.
push it either. So
No. No, is it? Marcella told me a little bit about it, and Marlies too, by the way. But is it hurting, or is it? Uh, do you think it will heal quickly, or I mean, it's a
I
real.
think so. It was a bit sore and swollen yesterday, but the swelling is going down and it's sore to the touch, but in general, I don't feel anything, especially
Okay.
walking and going up and down the steps. I don't feel anything.
She just like absorbed commission. I'm actually on
Yeah,
a call. Oh, sorry. That's okay.
yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, Gail.
Hi there, good morning.
Hey, that's cool. It's really early morning. I mean,
6
it's
a.m. Yeah,
6 a.m. All right.
yes, yeah.
Cool.
So fairly civilized, not too bad.
Yeah, and I see Stephanie Laurie. Oh man, we have California. Hello.
Hi,
Hello, good to see you.
you too.
Amazing. So I mean, I think we are as far as we can be apart as possible, right? Because we have Sydney, we have California, we have New York, we have Canada, and we have us in Europe. Amazing. So
Triathlon.
it also means that this is a good time because this is the I think the only time that we can all be there. I think New Zealand that would not be possible because that's 4 o'clock, right? Right now. So that's 4 a.m. That's too early. Okay.
No, they're ahead of us. They'll be 8 a.m.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
eight. So all right.
I think, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So, and Stephanie Gitt is there also from Australia. Uh, and if you heard it, Dave and I were just talking because Dave has been bitten by a dog while running. Yeah,
Ah,
in his leg. That's really, yeah, that's not too good. So, all right. Um, well, I'm going to start because there's George. Hello, George. Um, I have quite a long presentation. We are doing basically it's a traditional webinar. So Marlies and I basically I will do the presentation It will be one direction. And please, I'm going quite deep into fasting and the hormonal effects and everything on what you do with fasting. So please make notes. And please, if you have questions, we have in, let's say, half an hour, 35 minutes, we will have Q&A. And if there are more questions left, then of course, then you can always book also a call with us to further discuss. For instance, Marcella is going to do 42-hour fasting, and we will have another call next week to discuss in detail all her personal details. But so if you do, then please book a call and we can have a real conversation about it. So yeah, I think I just get started. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and then we go ahead, right?
Buzz, a quick question. So
Yes,
do you want us
please.
to wait until the end of your presentation for questions, or if we have questions during the presentation?
Yeah, please, if you can wait, because it's
Okay.
It's a whole story. It's also quite long, so I want to kind of keep the pace. Otherwise, I cannot finish it. Is that okay? All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. I just wanted to be sure to do the right thing, so I'll wait until the end.
Yes. All right. All right. Share and keynote. So just checking, are you guys now seeing the fasting
Yes.
presentation and now just the fasting presentation? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks. All right. And then I have to do this. Yes. All right. So now we can go ahead. Okay. So here we
I'm
start.
seeing you now, not the presentation.
Yeah.
Are you seeing
I am
me?
the same. I
Yes.
saw
Now
it for a
yes.
minute, and then you came back, and now I just see you.
You see me?
Yes.
All
Now
right.
yes.
I'm going to share again.
Okay.
And are you now seeing the presentation?
Yes. Yes.
All right, that's cool. Let's quickly then start because now it's okay. All right, so
But also your notes, they're on top of it on my screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we
Yes.
see your entire desktop.
Yeah.
wait. Okay. Share.
Nope.
Still everything.
Still your whole desktop.
Yes.
Yeah. This is perfect.
Now, okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah, I know what I did wrong. All right. Hey, thanks for the feedback. So we're quickly going to start. Well, so basically, we're going to about fasting, burning fats for fuel. It's fasting for runners, but everything applies to, general fasting as well. Well, in our 9-mile marathon training system, we have developed and basically refined a practical approach to fueling and recovery, and that centers on a system that we call ESS, the energy supply switch. I know, Laurie, you that also as an older student of us and still today in school, we have this energy supply switch as a main concept of the 9-mile marathon. And basically, it is designed to awaken the body's fat metabolizing capabilities, enabling us to perform well, to do our training runs and races with dramatically reduced carbs intake. And this leads to activating a process that we call autophagy. I've addressed it in another group call already, but I will also address it today and tonight a little later. And basically, by pairing a low carbs, high fat nutrition strategy with training and running and structured fasting, we aim to optimize energy efficiency and metabolic flexibility, weight control, and endurance. So, by the way, I am fasting right now. I'm in the middle of my 42-hour fast, and I can maybe, if I do the presentation, I can also say a little bit about what I am currently experiencing. So, right. So the spectrum. Let's in our system we promote a spectrum of fasting practices to suit different training goals and phases. From what we do from intermittent fasting patterns that fit busy schedules to real extended, real fasting windows such as the 42-hour fast. And today I wanted to expand a little bit on the concept of short to medium length of fasting, offering a complete guide to fasting for runners. So we're not looking into the 3-day fast and really prolonged fasting, because that's a bit different ballgame. But let's say medium 42-hour fast. And I will address practical guidance on how long to fast, what to expect during different fasting periods, and how to tailor the strategies to training load, sleep, recovery, performance needs, basically everything that's related to running. And whether you're chasing steady everyday energy and control over your body weight and maybe composure, or sharp race day readiness, this approach we have, this ESS framework, helps you to harness the body's adaptive power while maintaining health, safety, and sustainable progress. And safety is another important thing. The moment you understand and you start understanding how everything relates to nutritional choices and to the split in your macros, so the fats, the proteins, and the carbs, fasting, belly fat, visceral fat, energy, power, endurance also, and you even start understanding why the body holds to weight in places where you don't want it to be. And then if you understand fasting, if you experience fasting, then it makes complete sense, basically in a way it has never been before. So here's a really quite important thing that really nobody tells you up front. And that's about why results differ, because two people can do the same fast, the same number of hours, the same water, the same black coffee, the same discipline. And one of them will be burning deep visceral fat, activating cellular repair, autophagy, resetting their metabolism at a hormonal level, while the other person will literally be burning nothing, not a single gram of that stubborn abdominal fat. And they will have no idea why. And that gap, that invisible biological difference between two people doing the same thing and getting completely opposite results, is exactly what I will talk about. And the thing again is, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Then you really understand. So before we even get to the fasting windows themselves, we need to address a belief that has been really destroying people's results for decades. And that belief is the traditional old belief: fat loss is about calories in, calories out. You eat less, you move more, you lose fat. That's a simple math, right? But it's not true. It doesn't work. And in particular, it doesn't work for visceral fat, not for that deep, dangerous layer of fat wrapped around your organs, sitting inside your abdomen, and the fat that drives inflammation, raises your risk of diabetes, heart diseases, and all the kind of nasty things. That fat does not respond to the calorie math. It responds to something else entirely. And that something else is a hormone. You already know the name, but probably didn't fully understand yet. That's the insulin hormone. The insulin is the most important word in this entire presentation, and here's why. So every time you eat, especially when you eat carbs, carbohydrates, that's all. That's from pasta to sugars, everything. They're all carbs. Processed foods that are filled with carbs, fruit juices, everything. Insulin spikes. And that's the job of insulin, because it moves glucose out of your blood into your cells. And it stores excess energy in the form of glycogen in the liver. And it converts excess glucose to fat through a process called lipogenesis. So insulin keeps blood sugar from going dangerously high. And basically, insulin is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But here's the part that changes everything. While insulin is elevated, fat burning is completely switched off. So there is no gray area here. There is not a little bit of fat burning happening alongside elevated insulin. It's off. That's the thing. The body cannot store energy and burn stored fat at the same time. So that's important. The body cannot store energy and burn stored fat at the same time. Those two states are really mutually exclusive. It's either it or. So if you think about losing weight or becoming efficient, you have to think hormonal. Every meal, every snack, every sip of juice, every handful of crackers, every kind of healthy food you can find on the planet is sending insulin back up before it ever had a chance to fall. So because insulin never falls, visceral fat never gets unlocked. And that's basically the clue. The body is literally running on constant glucose delivery, never forced to reach into its own stored energy. And this is not a willpower problem. It's not a laziness problem. It's a hormonal problem. So it's not laziness. It's not willpower. It's hormonal. Hormonal caused by our Western nutritional choices and habits. Fasting is the most direct solution we have without medicine, because fasting is the only state where insulin has enough time to fall low enough for the body to finally access what it's been sitting on for years, right? A very natural process. But here is where it gets a little bit complicated, and here's where most fasting content completely falls apart, because fasting is not a switch. It's not like you hit a couple of hours on the clock and the light turns on inside or off your body. The metabolic transition from glucose burning to fat burning, the moment when insulin finally drops low enough for fat to become available as a fuel, that moment is different for every single person. And the reason it's different comes down to something called insulin resistance. And to understand why that matters, we need to understand what actually happens inside your body in the early hours of a fast. Because the timeline is not what most people expect. In the first hours after your last meal, so when you start fasting, your body is still operating on glucose. Insulin is still elevated from that meal. And your liver, your muscles, they're loaded with glycogen, which is stored, basically sugar, compressed packages of glucose that your body holds in reserve for quick energy. So in those first hours, even though you've stopped eating, your body is still burning. It's just not fat. It's burning those glycogen stores. So it's working through the glucose it already saved. Now, this is an image I really like very much myself, but what I just said, it's critical to understand, because it means that in those early hours of a fast, fat is completely untouched. You may feel like you're fasting, and you're technically not eating, but metabolically, your body is still running on sugar, and it has no reason whatsoever to touch your stored fat. Now, for a metabolically healthy person, someone with good insulin sensitivity, a normal liver, and no real lots of accumulated or visceral fats, those glycogen stores they empty out relatively quickly. So insulin falls. The liver gets the signal to start converting fat into ketones, and the fat burning begins. For someone like this, a 1 to 2 hour fast, just stopping eating after dinner and not eating until mid-morning, can already produce real metabolic benefits. Insulin has enough time to fall meaningfully. Overnight repair processes, they activate. And that's when autophagy starts. The digestive system gets a real break. And that becomes better and better the more you do this. But now here's the problem. And that's the part that most the videos you find on the internet conveniently skip. For a large and growing portion of the population, fasting for a couple of hours is not a fast at all. It's just a pause. Because if you have been eating frequently, eating highly processed foods and high carb meals for years, basically eating high inflammatory seed oils based food. We talked about that also in a group call with Catherine Shanahan, her book. Or if you even if you've been stressed, sleeping poorly, carrying excess visceral fats, especially around your belly, then your insulin doesn't come down in hours. It can't, because the system has been overloaded for such a long time that it has stopped responding normally. So insulin has been chronically elevated for so long that the cells have started ignoring it, which means the body has to produce even more insulin to do the same job, which keeps insulin even higher for a much longer time, which means the fat stores, again, are not used yet. So this insulin resistance is the reason that two people can fast for the same number of hours and have completely different biological experiences. So a person with insulin resistance can fast for hours and their insulin is still elevated. Their liver is still packed with glycogen, and because it's overfilled, glycogen stores are part of the picture of basically a metabolic dysfunction. And their body is still burning sugars. Visceral fat is untouched. They wake up feeling maybe tired, probably a little bit hungry, wondering why the fasting isn't working yet. And the answer is that they haven't actually reached the metabolic state fasting is supposed to create. So basically, they have just gone longer between meals, and the real fast, the one that matters, hasn't even started. And then there's this interesting question about how many hours. Basically, it's the wrong question, because the answer is entirely different depending on where you're starting from. So here's what makes this so important to understand. The discomfort some people feel during a fast isn't always a sign of damage. For many people, especially in the early stages, that discomfort is actually a sign that the body is fighting the transition, that it has been locked into glucose dependence and insulin resistance for so long that it doesn't know how to switch smoothly to fat burning. The body has essentially forgotten how to switch to burn fats efficiently. It's been so long since it had to do it. So the machinery feels rusty, and that friction, that fatigue, sometimes that brain fog, that irritability, sometimes even feeling angry. In Catherine Shanahan's book, she calls it hangry. That's not the fast that's harming you. In most cases, it's your metabolism relearning something it's basically always was designed to do. So that's happening when you're fasting for the first times. So then we get the switch, and that's a familiar image for some of you. So let's walk through the actual metabolic timeline. what it looks like as the fast extends, and because this is where the real information lives. By the time you move past hours and pushed into multiple hour range, something genuinely starts to shift. Insulin suppression deepens. The liver glycogen begins to deplete in a meaningful way. And the body senses that its available glucose supply is running low. And it starts to respond by doing something that it has been refusing to do for a long time. It begins releasing fatty acids from fat cells into the bloodstream. Fat burning begins because the body has no other option. This is the metabolic pivot point. And for someone who is metabolically healthy, this window is often where they feel the shift. And little quick story. I'm in my 42-hour fast right now on the full day of fasting. So simply not eating, just drinking a bit of tea and having a coffee. And there's always this pivot point. And because I'm so familiar now with it, it comes so easy, it comes quick. And now I'm already beyond that point. And for me now, everything is okay. Marlies is not fasting and she just had dinner and I'm not even hungry. I don't even long for food because I'm just in this kind of stable state of energy from ketones that are running in my body. I'm perfectly okay. I could do sports. I could do anything. So basically the energy stabilizes when you're in that state, and hunger actually quiets down rather than intensifying. That sounds maybe contradictory, but it's really like that. Even your thinking, your clarity improves because the brain also is starting to receive ketones, a cleaner, more stable fuel source than the glucose spikes it has been chasing all day. If you've ever fasted and felt that moment where everything clicks and you suddenly feel clear and calm, that's where you're experiencing it really. That's the switch. That's the energy supply switch we call in the Ironman marathon training system. That's what can happen during fasting, but basically can happen during training too, can happen during running a marathon. But for someone with meaningful insulin resistance, that pivot point gets delayed. It gets pushed back. Insulin may still be elevated after many hours, and fat burning may still be blocked. And this is why the same fast that feels effortless and energizing for one person can feel like a battle for the other person. And neither person is doing it wrong. They're just at a different place on the metabolic spectrum. So the most important thing to understand is that the person who struggles at hours is not broken. They are just further from the finish line. And fasting done consistently and correctly is one of the most powerful tools to reverse this process. Yeah, here's another thing I'd like to quickly address. Fasting done consistently and correctly is one of the most powerful tools we have to start making the switch, actually to close the gap. And the fast pushes into multiple hour range. The metabolic changes deepen further, insulin suppression becomes more robust. And then something else happens that most people don't talk about nearly enough. Growth hormone. It's the growth hormone, HGH, the natural human growth hormone, is rising. And this matters enormously because growth hormone does two critical things simultaneously. It helps preserve muscle tissue while directly accelerating fat breakdown. So the fear that fasting will cause you to lose muscle, that fasting is somehow eating away at your hard-earned lean mass, your muscle mass, while you're not eating, that fear is largely unfounded during shorter to moderate fasting, precisely because of this growth hormone. So the body is not, it's destroying itself. It's protecting what it needs to protect and breaking down what needs to be broken down. And basically what it's breaking down is visceral fat. This is the window where something called autophagy begins to activate more consistently. That's another big topic of the premium program, and all our premium students know this. Autophagy might be the most important word in longevity medicine right now. What autophagy actually does is a sophisticated internal recycling system. When the nutrition input stays low long enough, when insulin is suppressed, the body begins a process of identifying damaged proteins, worn out cellular components, dysfunctional mitochondria, the engines in your cells, and systematically breaking them down and repurposing to the raw materials. It's cellular housekeeping at the most fundamental level, and its downstream effects are remarkable. It's called autophagy. This, by the way, this is only discovered 10 years ago by this Nobel Prize winner, Professor Yoshinori Oshumi. And the inflammation during autophagy decreases, insulin sensitivity improves, and the actual biological age of your cells begins to reverse in a very real, measurable sense. And if you search this Dr. Ishumi, he did all kind of research. There's so much available of actual cells to beginning to reverse the process of aging. It's really remarkable. So autophagy is not a free concept. It's so well established that the Nobel Prize in Physiology was awarded for its discovery, and fasting is one of the most reliable ways to activate autophagy. But here's a little kind of critical distinction needs to be made, one that most people blur together in a way that creates real fear, confusion maybe. So there's a difference between autophagy and starvation. A meaningful metabolic difference. Starvation happens when the body perceives genuine danger, when the resources are so depleted that the body begins breaking down tissue it would rather preserve. On the other hand, autophagy happens when nutrition signaling, nutrition signaling is temporarily low. So the body reads that low signal as an opportunity to clean the house, to repair, to optimize. While starvation is a stress state. With starvation, the stress hormone, like cortisol, is dominant. And autophagy is a repair state. So the duration and the context of fasts separate them. And this is why a well-designed fast of, for instance, 42 hours, the way we designed it, in the right person with the right preparation, is not harming the body. It is the body doing exactly what it evolved to do when food is temporarily unavailable. And here's something that might maybe surprise you. As you move into that window, the visceral fat doesn't just become available as fuel, it becomes the preferred target. Because visceral fat is highly sensitive to hormonal signals. So when insulin is low and the growth hormone, HGH, is elevated, visceral fat is actually easier to mobilize than the fat just sitting under your skin. This is why people who fast strategically often notice their waistline is already changing before the scale changes. Before total body weight drops significantly, the circumference of their abdomen begins to shrink. You feel different. So the body composition and actually your looks in the mirror start to change because the body is targeting what it can access most efficient under these hormonal conditions and what it can access most efficiently, excuse me. And this is visceral fats, the belly fat, and the fat around the internal organs. Now here's another thing. It's getting more and more complex. That's cortisol. There is something that can quietly undermine everything you're trying to accomplish. And I just had a coaching call with Marcella, who's on the call too, and that's what we already addressed. That's something that doesn't show up on the clock, something that runs beneath the surface of even the most disciplined fasting practice. And it's the single most overlooked variable in the entire fasting conversation, in the narrative. And it has nothing to do with food. It has to do with stress. It has to do with stress. It's cortisol. When cortisol rises due to stress, poor sleep, or emotional overwhelm, or really undereating, or overtraining, or burnout, it raises blood sugar. So cortisol, the stress hormone, is again raising your blood sugar. And it does that through a chemical process called neoglycogenesis. That's the ability of your body to generate glycogen, not because you're eating something, not because you're consuming only not a single carb, but because your stress response system floods the bloodstream with newly produced glucose to prepare basically to prepare the body for a potential disaster, because that's why you're stressed. And when blood sugar rises, insulin follows. So even during a fast, even when you haven't eaten for a full day, cortisol can trigger enough of an insulin response to interrupt fat burning and delay autophagy, which means you can be technically fasting for a full day or more, doing everything right by the clock, while your stress hormones are quietly recreating the very metabolic state you're trying to escape. And that has to do with the nervous system. So this is why the person who is white-knuckling doing their fast, anxious about it, stressed about food, obsessed over the clock, may actually be getting fewer results than the person who casually eats in a shorter window with less tension and better sleep. So the nervous system is not separate from the metabolism. They are deeply, deeply interconnected. And this connection changes everything about how fasting should be approached. Because fasting is not supposed to be a battle. It's supposed to be a rest. And the calmer your nervous system is during a fast, the more effectively the body can do what fasting is designed to allow to do it. So basically, here we are. You understand insulin, you understand the metabolic timeline, you understand why some people burn visceral fat, while others don't even begin. You understand autophagy, you understand why stress can undermine all of it. And now you might be wondering, with all of this in mind, how do you actually choose the right fasting window for your body specifically? Not for the same average person in a study, the so-called scientific studies with the number of N people, but for you, in your metabolic history, in your stress history, your sleep quality, your insulin sensitivity right now. Because the answer to that question is not a number, it's a whole framework. And that framework is built on something most fasting advice completely ignores. That's based on the signals your body is already sending you right now, every single day, that tell you whether your fast is working with your biology or quietly fighting against it. And once you know what those signals are and what they actually mean to you, you will never have to guess about fasting. But understanding those signals requires understanding one more piece of the puzzle. A piece that reframes not just how long you should fast, but how you should think about the entire practice. And that piece is what happens after the fast ends. So this matters most. This matters more than most people realize. Because here's a little truth that nobody puts in the thumbnail. You can execute a perfect fast, hit every hour, feel the clarity, feel the shift, and then completely erase the metabolic benefits in the first minutes after your fast. So that's your eating window. So it will not erase it gradually, not partially, but it will erase it completely. And because if you break a fast with refined carbs, sugar drinks, fruit juices, processed snacks, or anything that sends insulin spiking sharply upward again, you just slam the door and you shut everything basically down the fast worked to open. And the fat cells are locking back up and insulin surges again. The whole hormonal environment you spend hours carefully creating collapses in minutes, and your body starts the whole cycle over again from the beginning. So this is why the first meal, breaking the fast, it shouldn't be kind of like a reward meal. It's a continuation of the strategy. It's part of the fast. It's part of the strategy. Breaking a fast with whole foods, quality proteins, healthy fats produces a gentle, controlled insulin response. And that's why the body needs contrast. Fat burning doesn't stop the moment you eat. It transitions gradually. The metabolic flexibility you have been building stays intact. But breaking a fast with a muffin, a fruit juice, cereals, even something that feels healthy by conventional standards can spike insulin as aggressively as if you never fasted at all. So the question is never just how long you fasted. It's also what you did when the fast ended, because the two are inseparable. They are one continuous metabolic conversation. And the same logic applies to what happens between your meals during your eating window when you're not fasting. Constant grazing, even healthy foods, keeps insulin elevated and prevents it from ever being fully full between your meals. So this means that even after a long, well-executed fast, if your eating window is filled with continuous small bites throughout the day, you're undermining the very insulin recovery that fasting is designed to produce. So structured meals with genuine gaps between them are metabolically far more powerful than nibbling all the time. The body needs contrast. That's important to understand. The body needs contrast. It needs the signal of eating, following by the signal of not eating. The contrast is what drives adaptation. The contrast is what restores insulin sensitivity over time. Now, there's one more thing. There are two more things. Sleep is the next variable that almost nobody factors in their fasting plan, even though it may be the most powerful factor of all. A single night of poor sleep, even just 5 hours, 6 hours instead of 7 or 8, measurably worsens insulin sensitivity the following day. The cortisol rises, glucose control decreases, hunger hormones shift in a direction that makes food cravings stronger, and satiety signals weaken. This means that the fast you do the next morning after a bad sleep is starting from a compromised baseline. Your hormonal environment is less cooperative. So the willpower required to get through the fast is significantly higher after a bad sleep. Not because you're weak, but because your biology is working against you due to something that happened during the night. Sleep is not recovery from fasting. Sleep is part of it. It's preparation for it. Treating it as optional is one of the most common and most costly mistakes in the entirely fasting conversation. And then the final thing I think I wanted to bring up is this. The insulin biology, the metabolic timelines, the autophagy windows, the cortisol connection, the importance of what you eat and when you sleep, it all converges on one simple principle. One idea that if you carry nothing else from this presentation is worth the entire presentation. The body does not respond to intensity. The body responds to consistency. So the body does not respond to intensity. It responds to consistency. This applies to fasting. It applies to training. A moderate fasting window done calmly, repeatedly, supported by quality sleep, real food, and a nervous system that is not in a constant state of alarm will always outperform an aggressive fast that's done in chaos and stress for hours, always. Because the body adapts to patterns, not to heroic one-time efforts followed by days of compensation and burnout. This means the ideal fasting window for most people is not the longest they can endure. It's not a competition. And that's same with training. This means the ideal training for running is not the longest training someone can endure. And that's why Marlies and I founded the 9 Mile Marathon. It is the longest one they can sustain without stress and burnout. And I know, Marcella, this is exactly what we talked about, right? It's only effective without stress. For someone just beginning with fasting, that might be intermittent fasting or just 16 hours. Skipping breakfast for the first time. If you do maybe 16 hours done intermittently with proper hydration, electrolytes, and recovery will definitely accelerate the process already. And for someone with maybe a bit more established metabolic flexibility, 42 hours may feel effortless and produce excellent results over and over again, maybe every 2 weeks, or maybe even every week or every month, as long as you do it in a consistent way. So to conclude, the shift will happen. I mean, it will always happen. Lower insulin consistently and restore metabolic flexibility, give the body enough time in a low insulin state regularly and repeatedly so that fat burning stops being basically an emergency response and starts being basically a default setting. So the way I feel it for myself right now, it's not an emergency. It's just a consistent, regular default setting. It may take time to make this happen, weeks or months or quarter. But when that shift happens, and it does happen, everything changes. Hunger becomes quieter. Your cravings are losing their grip. Energy basically stops fluctuating. Your waistline begins to change. You can feel it, the waistline change in ways that diet alone simply cannot produce. So basically the control over your visceral fat, there's always, of course, a bit of visceral fat, but once locked away and protected, begins to disappear because the hormonal conditions that protected it are no longer existing. And the body, for perhaps the first time in years, is doing what it always designed to do, what it always was designed to do. It is running on its own stored energy, cleaning its own damaged cells, regulating its own blood sugar without constant intervention. And that's not starvation, that's restoration. And it's available to almost everyone who is willing to approach it correctly. So basically, it is ESS at work. So for runners, for endurance athletes in general, but in fact, for everybody, this means that the ability to burn fats will get simply to a higher level. The narrative that you can only burn fats on low intensity and you need sugars on higher intensity will change. It's simply not true. And your ability to burn fats is activated immediately after you start with your training. So no depleting of the sugars first, the traditional way of thinking, and hitting the wall after 2 hours. It's a constant supply of energy from metabolizing the fats stored in your body from the first minutes of exercise. And that is basically ESS, the energy supply switch at work. And it simply is a new reality. And I think that's it. Those are my points. So I'm going to stop my screen. Excuse me, it's a bit longer, guys. Normally, Marlies is correcting me if I speak too long, but yeah, I hope it was clear. I realize it's a lot of information, and I said a lot of things. So yeah, any questions? Please go ahead. Yes, Marcella.
So, okay, we will speak then in a one-on-one meeting, but the cortisol, so the way to control is also thanks to fasting, or there are also other stuff we can do to understand if the level is correct or not?
Yeah, I know why you're asking, Marcella. And you know, the cortisol is related to stress, you know? So when there's any form of stress, but there are many ways of stress. And please, you know, I'm not a physical doctor, so I know everything I'm saying is out of practice and everything, but there can be so many conditions create stress, right? And when there is stress, there is cortisol. And when there is cortisol, insulin is elevated and the fat burning is basically shut off. You see? So stress is a killer. I mean, bad sleep quality and stress are performance killers. There are intense performance killers. So that is why Marlies and I basically have developed this system. The training system we do is we try to stay out of this situation where you have real stress. Like intense long trainings create stress for everybody. So all these systems to run a marathon with that you have to do 4, 5, 6 times 20-miler training and everything that creates so much stress that is counterproductive in our view. And Marcella, that's the same with fasting. So we rather have our students do a very effective, efficient, shorter stress, shorter fasting cycle without stress is much more effective than pushing and forcing yourself into a longer stress and then fighting everything, because then the cortisol is taking control and it's doing the reverse thing. That's a quick answer I'd like to give. Yes, George, please.
I had a question for you and Coach Marlies, Coach Baz. So if I showed you a sample breakfast, could you comment on, is it a good one to break a fast? 42-hour, 48-hour fast? Because I didn't plan on it, but I think it aligns with what you said, you know, good protein, healthy fats, whole foods for the carbs, no processed, no high sugar. And
absolutely.
Can I share my screen here? Or?
Yeah, sure. Please do. And are you breaking the fast?
No. I just I was just thinking when I do break a fast, this probably would be a good way to do it. Let's see, how do I do this? Share.
Yeah, I had a bit difficulty too sharing my screen when I started the presentation.
Okay, do you see that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so actually, I'm kind of moving towards 1.5 meals per day. I'd actually prefer to do 1 meal a day. I think I've warmed up to the idea. So my target, if I did 1 meal a day, would be 150 grams of protein, 2 grams per 1 kilogram of body fat, so 75 kilogram body weight would be 165 pounds, so 150 grams. But this one shows my first meal of the day. I had 128 grams of protein. And the only processed thing in there is probably the first item, the Built Puff. That's kind of an energy bar that's popular around here. And that was my only carbs, for that first meal. And then immediately after the first meal, then I had some healthy carbs, a Fuji apple and some dried apricots. But even then, my budget comes in at 63 grams of carbs so far for the day. But basically just proteins and you know what? There's one thing I left off. I had guacamole too, so I had about 200 calories worth. So that would have been my healthy fats. I got to add guacamole to this list. So some beef, beef burger, no bun, chicken thigh, chicken breast, coffee with vital proteins and creatine. And the vital proteins is the 18 grams of protein.
Yeah.
It's collagen peptides.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If this were your meal to break your fast, I would say it's a little bit much. I'm more a fan of really breaking the fast very gentle. So the first meal after the fast,
in terms of calories.
Yeah, I probably would have a smaller meal, and I definitely would not take any carbs.
Oh, it's zero carbs.
Yeah, really zero carbs. So, Marlies and I are we are big fans of making bacon kind of Marlies, how in the oven, that you make them very crispy and salty, and that's a bit like your beef burger. A bit of chicken with nice spices, salads, lots of oil, olive oil, that kind of things. Of course, coffee, tea, but I would definitely leave out the carbs because
okay, yeah, and that Built Puff it's kind of a process. I think most energy bars are probably
and process those things.
Yeah, there are always, and breaking the fast is a gentle. For me, it's a gentle. So tomorrow lunchtime, I'm going to break the fast, and that will be sure with a bit of course, proteins. Maybe chicken, maybe those bacon kind of things, a bit of salad, and not too much, because you haven't been eating anyway, and you're filled with ketones anyway, so you're not really hungry. So that would be my comment, George.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Can I add something?
Because I know when we talk. I'm sorry. When we talked before, I've done 48 or 42-hour fast before, and then it was like turning a switch. The ketones were pretty good, and then right away it was like the ketones turned off. So if you have zero carbs on that first meal, would you expect the ketones to remain high? If I tested,
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's more gentle because everything you eat will up your insulin, because that's normal, because the body reacts to eating with, the pancreas is going to produce the insulin, but it will be less, what's it called? The name, it will be less direct. It will be less extreme, the response. Yes. So the more you can stay away from the carb, I mean, the carbs are just the insulin spikes. Carb is not unhealthy. The unhealthy part is the insulin spike. So yeah, I would definitely leave them out on the first dinner or the first meal. And maybe 900 calories already for a first meal after fasting. I haven't looked into it really, George, into the numbers, but probably if I think about my break, my lunch tomorrow that will break the fast, probably be 500-600 kilocalories, something like that. Yes, please. There was someone else. I can't see. I can't see you.
It's Marissa. Sorry.
Hello,
I'm
Marissa.
invisible because I'm at work. So can I add something? So
Yes,
when
please.
I break my fast, I normally do beef broth, any broth. I would put like 1 to 2 tablespoons of flaxseed in it, and just 1 boiled egg.
Yeah.
So I start with that. After half an hour to an hour, then I would start my my meal.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's I noticed that it's gentler to your
Yes.
stomach. And I read somewhere that you also have to take like a little bit of kimchi or sauerkraut. It's because they are probiotics.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I normally do when I do 42-hour fasting.
Yes. That's perfect, Marissa. We can't see you, by the way. Is
I know, because I'm using my phone. I'm hiding
All right.
here in the break room. I'm at work. I don't have patience right now. So yeah.
That's
And
okay.
for some reason my Zoom account is not working properly.
Oh, but that's
I
okay,
think
Marissa. Thank
they
you.
have a firewall.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you for your input. And hey, guys, all the other guys, Marissa is going to run a marathon this weekend, and she's going to
Yeah, this Saturday.
this Saturday. It's exciting.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So and
Yeah.
she has a goal, but not going to tell you guys what her goal is, but she has a goal.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. I'm not so confident yet, but we will get there eventually, someday.
That's right. All right. Thank you. Anyone else, please? Maybe Sharon or Gil or Lori or Karen, Stephanie. Any
Dave?
questions? Dave? Yes, please.
So I've been contemplating of trying a fast for some time. I'm a few weeks out from the Boston Marathon, so it's just not the right time to do any sort of experimenting that big for now. But afterwards, I'm definitely interested in trying. What would you suggest the length of the first one that I try? Right now, I mean, Marcel and I have changed drastically how we get. It's been slow, but from before I started with you guys into where we are now, we eat two meals a day. Probably have the meals switched in reverse. We have something late morning that's lighter. Usually that's after I've completed my workouts. And then we have a typical dinner in the evening together where I'll make dinner and most of the nutrition will come from that. But with my running and stuff, I run fasted, I cycle fasted. And I'm surprised how well that's worked for me. And as an example, a few days ago, I got a late start on my run. I didn't get home until 1 o'clock in the afternoon after my workout. And I keep track of stuff on my phone, and I realized that I'd been fasting for over 18 hours by the time I got to eat. So, and the fact that I had a hard workout the last thing I did before I ate, and I still felt pretty good. So I think I'm in a decent spot, but I would like to try to go even further. So would it be good for me just to start up to try a 24-hour fast, or should I just go for the gusto and do one of the longer fasts with you guys when you do, was it 48 hours or something?
Yeah. Well, I just had a call with Marcella, and I think where you guys are already. So basically, what you're saying is that it's easy for you to not eat for 18 hours or something like that. It means that there's already the site. I mean, the system is already in place, and I'm going to speak with Marcella next week about a 42-hour fast and the details, really personal details about how to implement. And maybe we can do it with the three of us.
Okay.
We are going to do it anyway. So I definitely think that for you guys, and I know how consistently you've been already, I mean, looking at food and everything and training and the workouts. So that definitely the 42-hour fast is the next step. That's right, Marlies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I totally agree. But like you said, David, let's not experiment right before the marathon. I agree.
No, not now. Not now.
Not now. I agree. But I think the timing is quite good. So when you get back from Boston and you make up a little bit the calories and everything you like, that we definitely encourage, if you finish a marathon, just enjoy all the food that you like. But then later on, part of your recovery and holding back a bit on the intensity of your trainings, then maybe after 1.5 weeks, 10 days, I would suggest then maybe it's the right timing to start a fast together and see how you like it. And I think you will quite good at it after doing the intermittent fasting so easily. Yeah. But we'll definitely do it after your marathon, and then with a little window to first celebrate and have some food and everything, and then start with and holding back your trainings. And then during that period, I would definitely do a 42-hour fast, and it's over before you know it. I know Bas is doing it quite frequent, and I hardly notice it that he is doing a fast. He sometimes not even say it, and I'm like, don't you want to have dinner? No, I'm fasting. Oh, okay. And he's still smiling and in a good mood. So I think you guys will make it.
Okay. Thanks.
Hey, Stephanie. Other questions?
I don't necessarily have a question, but very good presentation. I know that we went over this a few times, but it was very well put together, all together. I loved it. It was great, especially about autophagy, and that's always so. Yeah, and I have to get back into consistency in my fasting, but I don't have too much of a problem with doing it. 42 hours does go by very quickly. But very good presentation. I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. Marcella, you have another question? Oh, you're muted. Wait.
Now, I made the screenshots of your presentation, so I will see them again. But basically, it's quite okay. I don't remember just the ESS stands for ESS.
The energy supply switch.
Energy supply switch. Okay.
And that is what happened with me, for instance, as an example today. Somewhere You know, when you're not having lunch, then you feel there's something different. Your mind is a little bit, hey, I need to have lunch. Then you have a little moment of little fight in your mind, and then because I'm so adapted to it, I'm so used to it, and then quickly the body takes over, and my body starts producing the fat, basically the ketones from the fat stores, and right now I feel, after not having food for maybe 30 hours or so, I feel like I can do anything, run a marathon, do everything normal. That's the ESS. That's the ESS taking place.
What about adding in carbs during training? So I do all my training fasted, but obviously when it comes to marathon day, we'll be using some gels. What's your sort of process or thoughts on when to use them in training and when not? Is it better fasting? Is it better not?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic, Gil, because we take gels on the marathon being fat adapted, and that is not to kind of fight the wall and that kind of things, but the thing is, when you are fat adapted, sugar works like a turbo. It works like EPO, you remember the EPO where you boost your whole system. So if you bring, and I also discussed with Marissa, who's going to run the marathon, she's going to bring gels, but just as an additional booster, right? So by no means take it in advance of the race, by no means in the morning, by no means when you're waiting in the starting line, when you see all the people taking bananas and gels and throwing, because that will destroy your fat metabolism. So you run, and for at least the first hour, you don't need nothing. And then when you get into it, and there is that moment that you feel a bit tired and everything, then you take a little gel. But that will not disturb your ability to burn fats, because that's on such a high level already that it is just an additional booster. It's like a drug, and in fact, sugar is like a drug. It's just boosting your energy, and
it's the modern cocaine.
It's a modern.
Yeah.
It's the 9 mile cocaine. I hope that answers to that's we can talk about it later, but that's the mechanism, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Any other questions, guys? All right. Well then, Marlies, do you have anything to add?
Well, not really, to be honest. And well, let's say that if it's not something you have to do. It's not that if you don't do the 42-hour fast that you are out. We don't want to have you anymore as a student. You're a loser. That's not how it is. So if you, it's just that boss is explaining what's happening, and if you're ready to take the next step to try it, or you feel like you need it somehow, then you're always welcome to join, to ask questions, then we help you. But it's not something you have to do. It's not in such a way part of the program if that you're not getting your diploma as a 9-mile expert student if you didn't do the 42-hour fast, because the intermittent fasting will also do the job already, big time. So that's what I wanted to add.
I like the autophagy part.
Sorry.
Okay.
Marlies, I have a question for you. This is Marissa.
Yes.
So, I remember you telling me that you fast every day. So my question is, now my marathon is in 2 days, but since I was resting since yesterday, and I've been working, I'm not really hungry. So like yesterday, I was kind of busy, so I didn't even notice the time. So I was like already fasting 17 to 18 hours before I had my first meal. Same thing happened today. I had my protein shake after 16 hours, and then I just had my lunch. So is that something that you do as well? Even before a few days before races?
I'm not changing anything, to be honest, because I feel so good with the
Sure.
routine I have right now. The only thing I
Okay.
really more on it the final weeks, maybe 1.5, 2 weeks, is that I make sure I'm really on it with my proteins, that I really
Yeah.
hit the right number daily and make sure that I have enough total calories throughout the day. I'm not lacking that, because you really need to be filled up, and I'd like to feel good and solid and strong by the time I have a race. So that's probably what I look after a little bit more carefully, closer to a race, the final 1.5 week or so.
Yeah, because I was not really hungry, so I just take my green tea like in the mornings, and then like because I'm not used to eating breakfast.
Right. Same here.
So yeah, but I try hard to meet my protein intake. Most of the time, I don't I don't get to eat the recommended like 1 gram per pound.
Yeah,
So,
that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not hungry. That's my problem. So I don't meet the daily requirement.
Yeah, but if you're feeling energized, you're not losing weight, you're not gaining a lot of weight, you have a good overall feel throughout the day, your energy is on a particular level, you can do your trainings, you're not sick all the time, you're not feeling sluggish or whatsoever. I think you're doing the right thing. So also that is very personal, what your body needs. So I think you are doing great if you feel, and I watch your videos that together with Bas, all the strength training you're doing. Wonderful, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, quite impressive, to be honest. But I think if you feel, you don't necessarily need to feel hungry in such a way. I'm never really hungry, but that's part of the fasting and part of the intermittent fasting. I actually start eating because I think, oh, it's maybe a good time to get some of my macros in, so mainly the proteins and the fats, but not because I'm starving. It's more that like, okay, I need to start eating maybe a bit now because by the end of the day, I want to hit these numbers. So I kind of in the same I have the same feeling, but I think it's a good sign as long as you eat, but you don't need to undereat and not overeat. So try to balance it a bit.
Okay. That makes me feel good now.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Any more questions? No? Well, then let's conclude and wrap it up. Of course, I have recorded it, so the whole presentation is recorded. I think Marlies and I will make a module on school of this whole fasting thing. So we will see how we will integrate that in our classroom. So with the other trainings, and for sure you will be able to see it back, maybe even the PowerPoint presentation and everything. So I will make something nice out of that. So yeah, for now. Also from Marlies, we'd like to thank you for your attention and appreciate you're here. And I really liked it to kind of share this kind of overall picture And as I said before, all the details, in the scientific world, it's always based on studies with the number N of people, they had so many thousands of people and 10 people. Well, in our program, the Nijmegen Marathon premium program, Marlies and I do, the number of N is 1 because everything is personal. And that's why we really, if you have questions about this fasting on the next call, or you just can book a next call with us, and that's why we're here for, and that's what we do in our program. So for now, I think we're done. And I want to thank you. So we're going to close, and we'll let you know where you can find the recording. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, boss.
Thanks, Marlies.
Interesting class. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.